Good morning. Welcome to Ramblings with Joe. I had a very interesting conversation and learned some things. And I think that this is how Grok or any AI should probably be used. I've always wondered if there is some place in the universe where there's absolutely no motion, perfect stillness. And so I asked Grok. I thought this might be an interesting way to start a conversation with an AI. And sure enough, I was completely wrong. There cannot be, according to Grok and all the, I don't know, do you call it research or information that he looked up? It looked up. Anyway, so I thought perhaps the only place in the universe that could have perfect stillness, zero motion, would be where the Big Bang happened. You always hear about the pinpoint where everything started. A pinpoint in all mass came from there. Well, that's not right. That's not scientific. And I don't know why scientists insisted on using that particular way of describing the Big Bang if that's not what happened. So the conversation kind of progressed, and as it progressed, I learned a lot more stuff that I didn't know. It was very interesting on two levels. One on the kind of education I was getting about outer space, and that's not the right word, about the universe and how science thinks it came into being. And it kind of blew my mind a little bit. And the second level that I was learning how AI kind of thinks and functions. So, not a pinpoint, not the central spot. I'm still not real clear on that. I'm going to have to go back and reread. Grok allows you to export the conversation, which I did because I found it so interesting. I kind of had a feeling I'd have to reread it. It was very scientific. At any rate, it said that the universe didn't start at a pinpoint. That's just a way of explaining things. Don't explain things that lead people to think the wrong assumptions, which is what that is. Then I asked, these are all probably jumbled up in the order that I've given. I asked Grok how, if it wasn't at a pinpoint and there was a Big Bang, where did the Big Bang come from? And it went on to say that science believes that it happened instantly across basically a vast... It's so hard to describe space without using the word space, because this is confusing to me even now. I mean, it was confusing before, which is why I had why I started the inquiry, but this is even more confusing. So before there was the Big Bang, there was nothing, except for nothing is something as well. So there wasn't nothing. There was just, you can't even describe it as emptiness. There just was a non-existence. And after the Big Bang happened, the universe came into existence. This is all scientific supposition. Obviously, nobody was there. They're just going on what they have discovered, what they see. I'm a little bit confused on how to describe this, and perhaps the biggest reason I'm confused on how to describe this is because I never had a long form conversation with Grok before. And as I was getting really into the deepness of it, I said, I asked it a question along the lines of, okay, so there was nothing outside of this concentration of non-mass. Is there a name that science gives the place that is, because you can't call it a place, that they give to the space outside of that non-mass that hasn't come into existence yet? Is there a name given to that place outside of the area? And Grok sends me a message that says, unfortunately, you've hit your texting limit, or whatever they call it, with Grok today. Thank you for your time. So, and I'm not willing to give them the $30 a month subscription to have, and I don't even think then it's unlimited, the way that because I immediately clicked on the subscribe button to find out how much that was, and it's $30 for a Grok subscription. And now I think they're at Grok 4. This is Grok 3 I'm using. You don't have access to Grok 4 unless you subscribe. And it was mind-blowingly frustrating, but not to the point where I was going to give them $30 a month. And I haven't gone to the web yet to figure it out. So I don't have a name for what was around, only wasn't around the area that became the Big Bang, the huge, I don't even know what to call that, the soup, the, who knows, the area around. This podcast is god awful because I'm talking about something I don't know anything about. And I was so involved in that conversation. Maybe it's my memory going bad. On Sunday, this is my pill case. On Sunday, I was going to my brother's house, and we always take a good bit of stuff with us because, you know, you want to have drinks, and we don't drink sodas anymore. We just drink water or in my case, lemon water to fight kidney stones. Not any fun, so we're going to fight that with everything we got. And like I said, I smoke one cigar a week, and I bring my little humidor, and you know, just swimming suits and whatever. And I walk out to the car, and I get to the car, and I put everything in the back of the car, and I'm carrying my pill case. We don't take pills at my brother's house. That doesn't make any sense. And it's empty now because I just got it out of the car to refill it. It's Tuesday. I've been taking my pills, but just not with the convenience of the pill case. And I throw everything in the car, and I look down, and one of the things that I've thrown into the car is my pill case. And it registers, that's my pill case. This is not where it needs to be. And I shut the hatchback on our car, and I take it with us to Jimmy's, which is hilarious. Because when I get there, I open it up and I see it again, and now I'm having cognitive thoughts about, oh, that's not supposed to be here. I don't know why I bought it. And I pointed out to Em, and she kind of laughs and says, yeah, getting old is weird, ain't it? So maybe that's why I'm having trouble. Maybe that's why scientists seem to make the hugest discoveries when they're very young. Mathematicians and physicists and scientists in general. Okay, so let's try this again. The Big Bang did not originate from a pinpoint. That is a shortcut that scientists use to convey the message of the Big Bang. Okay, so more or less, see, Grok was telling me that more or less the universe exploded into existence, and it didn't explode from a central point, it just exploded into existence, and that it is expanding. So the original question was, is there a place in the universe where there is utter stillness, no movement? That was the original question, and that led to the Big Bang Theory and how it worked. But then Grok said, and it's expanding, and it's picking up speed. So the universe is expanding, and I couldn't get Grok to tell me from what, because everything's relative, and so this is the universe, the known universe. If it's expanding, what's out here? That means that it's expanding from somewhere. So Grok tried to explain it that the universe is like a balloon that is inflating, and eventually it just keeps getting larger and larger. Things that get larger are displacing space, are displacing something. It's expanding into something. Well, then Grok said, no, this is just a way that we explain how things are happening so people can understand it. But that's not what you're doing. What you're doing is confusing the issue. So it's not like a balloon. It is like a balloon, but it's not like a balloon. It's expanding, but it's not like a balloon. That's just how they term it. It's just vocabulary that we understand as lay people that they use. Except now I'm more confused than when Grok used scientific studies to try and explain this to me. So, the universe is expanding, and eventually the universe will expand to the point of heat death. Heat death is when all ability for the universe to work is done, because there's not enough movement. Notice I said not enough for stars or orbit or anything. So at first Grok said at this point we have entropy. And I took that to mean total entropy. And I said at that point there will be no movement. What happens when there is no movement? And Grok explained that no, that's just another mechanism that scientists use to explain what's happening to the universe. There will never be a point where there is no movement, because on a, what is the word for the small particles? There will always be movement on the micro scale. So, even though we're calling it heat death, it's not heat death. There will always be some movement, just not enough to do the work. So at that point, does the universe stop expanding? Does the universe continue to expand? Things like this raise more questions than answers. It totally, I'm completely more confused now before I started the conversation, which I was thoroughly enjoying. Maybe I'm just too old to grasp the scientific issues, the scientific understandings. I think that part of this falls at the feet of scientists and educators who tell us the universe started from a pinpoint, a specific location. I think I grasp that a little bit, because there can't be a specific location if there were no locations. And the cause of the Big Bang, there's not a good explanation for that. Why did it happen? A lot of theists use that as an arguing point for a belief in God. I believe in God. I don't know which religion is correct, but I do believe in God. I that's a different discussion. But the idea that, look, if it's expanding like a balloon, balloons have center points. Globes have center points. I'm going to have to reread that file. If I reread the file, will I be able to ask questions? That's a good question. Give me a moment. So the iPad does not sync when it's not out of standby. And it's starting to sync now. I'm getting used to the fruity notes of this coffee. I will do some more research on this, and I don't know if I'll understand it ever. I don't know that I can grasp it. Obviously, I'm not a scientist, but it was a very interesting conversation I had with Grok. It was very long. I think it went on for probably a half hour. But I'm still not able to grasp the idea of, you can't call it nothing because nothing's something. Non-existence outside of the non-area of the non-matter prior to the Big Bang. This is a horrible podcast. I have absolutely passed on zero information. I have done nothing to make the world a better place. I have done absolutely nothing to pass on any education that I have garnered for myself or others. And I'm at a total loss for understanding. I know that this is Tuesday, and I had the conversation with Grok on Sunday, so there's always a little bit of loss of information over that kind of time period, especially with something scientific that you're not studying, that you're just reading in passing and talking about in passing. But this is very, I'm going to look into it more. And I know this is probably not what you 2 or 3 listeners have tuned in for, but this is what I got this morning. This is what I woke up thinking about, and well, there you go. I'm getting used to the fruity notes of this coffee. Unfortunately, I recognize that I'm getting used to it. It's still there, and when I concentrate on it, I don't like the fruity notes. But I am getting used to the fruity notes. I still won't buy the coffee again. There are people who will like the fruity notes, and if you like fruity notes, I would definitely. See, if this was synced up, I could tell you what the notes were, but I hadn't opened it in a minute, so. No, it's synced up. Yay. It is called, here we go, Kahawa. Kahawa, 1893. Serengeti, dark roast. Oh, it doesn't say fruity notes. It says chocolate, molasses, and full body. Well, now that we know that molasses is a thing, because I am definitely not a huge fan of molasses. That's what it is. It is molasses. So I have still not tasted fruity notes in coffee. So here is what is on the back of this bag. Maybe I can pass on something to someone who might like molasses tasting coffee. This is from Kahawa1893.com. And it is, the story of coffee is an African story. Kahawa means coffee in Swahili, our language. And 1893 is when our story begins. While coffee's origins can be traced back to ancient forests in Ethiopia, coffee had to travel around the world before it made its way back to Africa in 1893. That explains the number. My grandfather was a driver for colonial government and managed to get his hands on some seedlings to start his own coffee farm. Growing up in a community of coffee farmers, I witnessed the inequities within the coffee industry. Women provided 90% of the labor, but didn't own land. After studying abroad in the USA, I returned home with some ideas on how to bring Kenyan coffee to the world in a way that benefits our women farmers the most. I invite you to help me ensure that women farmers reap the rewards from their hard work. Our story is in your hands. Be a part of it. And it's her signature. I think it's Margaret, and I cannot make out the, it starts with N-Y-A-B-O is the last two letters. The coffee's good. I'm not saying it's not. It's just not my style of coffee. I would encourage you, if you prefer, well, now that I know it's not fruity notes, a coffee that has notes of molasses and chocolate, to give it a shot. I got it at Sprouts. I'm sure that you can find it there or elsewhere. Or you can go to their website, kahawa1893.com. But it's okay coffee. It has a very similar story to Rwanda from Ubora. And again, that is on the back of that bag, or maybe it was on the website, it says that's an all-woman operation. And evidently they're trying to bring equity to the coffee business. I mean, I live in the present. I've said this before. If you put out a good product, and a product that I want, need, or enjoy, you get my money. So Rwanda will continue to get my money. That's pretty much that simple. This is not bad coffee. I don't want people to misunderstand. I like this coffee. I have options that fit my tastes better, and I will exercise those options. This podcast has gone on way too long with way too little information given out. I will edit this down. I will take out some long pauses. And I apologize for coming to this podcast unprepared. I may never be prepared to talk about the Big Bang and the assumptions that I had based upon the education I was given and how wrong it was. It was just, I wish educators wouldn't do that. They oversimplify to the point of giving wrong information. No pinpoint. There was no pinpoint. There's no, according to Grok, there's no absolute still. And the reason that I was asking this is that, they were talking about black matter, dark matter, and dark energy, and I was like, there's always a scientific term, even when it's something that we don't understand. We don't understand dark matter. We don't understand dark energy. Is there something called absolute stillness? We have absolute zero. Can't get there, but we have it. I don't know. Very, very, it's mind-bendingly confusing, even mostly because the education that they've given us was wrong. I better get going. I got to edit this video and then I have to work this morning. I hope you guys have a fantastic Tuesday. I kind of woke up thinking that I was having some deep contemplative thoughts about the universe and the Big Bang, and I'm ending up laughing at myself. I hope you're laughing this morning. I hope you're laughing at me or with me. I don't care which one, because, wow, I'm dumb. I am going to go and edit this down just a bit. I hope that you guys have a fantastic Tuesday. I hope you find peace, love, and dream. Until next time, see ya.